Hi, this is Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com. Welcome to the South Carolina College Baseball video recap for Thursday, May the 8th. There are only 3 games involving state teams played on Thursday. Let's take a look at what happened. Down in Conway, Louisiana Monroe got off to a 6-0 lead and led 6-1 going into the bottom of the 7th inning, and then Coastal scored 7 runs in that inning and went on to take the lead and held on to win 8-6 in the opener of a Sun Belt Conference series at Springbrook Stadium. For the Chanticleers, they've now won 9 straight games overall and 13 straight in the Sun Belt. Coastal is 39-11, 21-4 in the conference. Blake Barthol capped the outburst in the 7th inning with a 2-run single. He also homered and had 4 RBI for the game. Louisiana Monroe fell to 21-28 and 7-18. In the opener of a Southeastern Conference series down in Auburn, South Carolina scored the first run of the game and the last run of the game, and in between held Auburn to 24 runs and getting run ruled in 7 innings to open that SEC series. Auburn had consecutive innings of 5, 7, 3, and 9 runs in innings 2 through 5 and coasted to the win. The Tigers are now 34-14 overall, 14-11 in the SEC. South Carolina is 26-24 and heading dangerously close to 500 in the overall record. They are 5-20 in the conference. For the Gamecocks, Nathan Hall had a double and scored in the first inning. Jace Woita had a home run in the 6th inning. USC again fell to 5-20 in the SEC. Those teams are going to play a doubleheader tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern time because of apparently weather issues in Auburn on Saturday. So the Gamecocks are going to get to come home a day early from what they were scheduled to do. Maybe they can get one out of those 2 games, but it is what it is. And the only other game played on Thursday involving a state team, Lander beat Columbus State by a score of 11-5 in the opener of the Peach Belt Conference Championship Series in Greenwood. The best-of-3 series is now led by the Bearcats 11-5. Garrett Chun hit a grand slam in the first inning and added a 2-run homer in the 6th as the Bearcats cruise. They've won 13 straight games now and are 41-13 in the overall record. Columbus State fell to 30-22. As again, Lander leads that series 1-0. They'll play games 2 and 3 tomorrow in Greenwood. I'll get to the schedule for Friday in a moment. In the only other game that was even remotely tied to a state team, in the National Christian College Athletic Association South Regional, Bob Jones played in this tournament earlier this week. Fort Lauderdale won the regional 16-9 with a win over Trinity Baptist. All right, back to Division I play. In the only ACC game played on Thursday, North Carolina beat NC State by a score of 8-1. Here's a look at the ACC standings through Thursday. Florida State is at 14-7. North Carolina moved into second place at 16-9. NC State fell to 15-10. Georgia Tech is 15-9. Miami's 14-9. Clemson's 14-10. Duke's 14-10. Louisville is 13-11. Virginia's 13-11, and Wake Forest is even 500 at 12-12. In the SEC, there were no other games besides the South Carolina Auburn game, so no changes up at the top. Texas has a 19-5 record. Arkansas is 17-7. LSU is 15-9. Georgia's 15-9. Tennessee's 14-11. Vanderbilt's 14-11. As I mentioned, Auburn's 14-11. Tennessee and Vanderbilt 14-10. Auburn's 14-11. Alabama, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss are 13-11. And Carolina's in 15th place, and they're not going to go anywhere either direction. Off the field, USC Beaufort announced the hiring of Brian Lewis as the head coach. They had parted ways with head coach Ted Faulkner at the end of last month, and Lewis, who'd been an assistant for the last 2 seasons, has been promoted. He has almost 2 decades of coaching experience, primarily in the Midwest. He has some pro experience coaching. One of his stops was at Lewis and Clark Community College, where he's an assistant for Randy Martz, who is a former USC standout pitcher and who also went on to the major leagues. Elsewhere on Thursday, Charleston Southern announced a second change to its weekend series against UNC Asheville in Charleston. The teams will now play a doubleheader at 11 a.m. on Friday, and there will be no Sunday game. Game 2 is scheduled for 4 o'clock. Originally, Friday's game was to be at 6, but they moved it up to 11 earlier this week, and then they made the other change this afternoon. Let's take a look at the Friday schedule when I mentioned that. We have UNC Asheville at Charleston Southern for that doubleheader at 11. South Carolina and Auburn finish out their series with a 2 o'clock doubleheader. The Citadel opens the SoCon series at Western Carolina at 5 o'clock. Wofford is at East Tennessee State, who leads the SoCon at 5 o'clock. College of Charleston has a road series against North Carolina A&T in the CAA. That's at 6 o'clock. Clemson begins a big series against Duke. They're at home at 6 o'clock, playing on through Sunday. Presbyterian is at USC Upstate at 6. ULM and Coastal play game 2 of their series at 6. And Winthrop is at Radford at 6 o'clock. I mentioned the Peach Belt Conference Championship Series continues in Greenwood. Game 2 of the best of 3 series is set for 1 o'clock. If Columbus State should win that game, the teams will play again right afterwards, roughly at 4 o'clock. If Lander should win that 1 o'clock game, they're the tournament champions, advanced to the Division II playoffs. Also on Friday, the South Atlantic Conference Championship Series begins at McCurry Park in Asheboro. It's the best of 3 series. Lenore Ryan plays Catawba at 4 o'clock. They'll play 2 on Saturday. That is it for the South Carolina College baseball schedule for Friday. And also that concludes the video recap for Thursday, May the 8th. I hope you're having a great night. This is Rudy Jones of Greenville, of the PalmettoStateBaseball.com. Sorry, I'm having flashbacks to when I worked at a newspaper. Rudy Jones of PalmettoStateBaseball.com saying, good night, Jesus loves you.